I've started 27 dropshipping stores trying to sell over 30 products off and on for about 2 years. Nothing really hit that I tried to scale. But now, this year, I locked in and did $36,000 in sales last month, and I'm on pace to do over $50,000 this month. There is so much noise out there from gurus right now. Everyone and their cousin has an opinion. And obviously, I do too. So let me tell you what worked for me, which is not necessarily what everyone should do. Just from my experience, the first thing is legit creatives. And what I mean by this is having a variety. So what a lot of people will do when they're testing products is they'll rip footage right from TikTok. You're going to take some of this footage and you're going to throw it up on Facebook. And I've done the same thing. And this is how you're going to get footage. But what some people do is they will just take the exact one-to-one and throw it up on Facebook. This is something that I started out doing. And I can tell you one thing. It doesn't work. Very rarely are you going to take something from TikTok, throw it onto Facebook, and immediately get sales. Number one, because some people might already be running that. Number two is that what converts on TikTok doesn't always convert on Facebook. If it has some of the core pillars, this video over here, it can convert on Facebook. Like it's very possible. I have seen brands do it, but it's also not necessarily sustainable either because sometimes those ads just tend to die out faster. But you can use all this footage on TikTok. Even take some from Facebook and just any other sources. And you can make thousands of dollars just by ripping footage, which is ethically, not the greatest thing, but you can do so much with just the footage you have. You can scour the internet and you can make legit creatives. We're not always using like the voiceovers and all this stuff there. There's methods that you can do to create really, really good creatives, and it starts with the script, right? So there's different frameworks that you can follow. Obviously, the first thing you need is the attention of someone. I mean, I'm not going to go into the basics here of like, grab attention and then, pitch your product. Well, the main thing is that I've found from my creatives, the ones that work the best, obviously you grab attention, but it doesn't necessarily need to be the most eye-catching things. In fact, there's a hook where I had a girl screaming, and that catches attention. The hook rate was like 70+%. It got a couple sales, but I ended up turning it off because that hook brought people in for the wrong reasons. This is something that not a lot of people talk about, but if you can get the right attention on your ads, right, if they're hooked for the right reasons, if you can set the frame right with this attention, now with this initial attention here, this is going to set up the rest of the video, which you can do a lot of different things with. You can do just like kind of a showcase. You can do some testimonials. There's obviously different ways that work because every creative cannot be the same cookie cutter thing. I know that as well from experience. When you try to do the same format over and over, you're going to get format fatigue. And that's is unfortunate, especially when you try to do it over and over again. It just doesn't work. And to build off of this, it depends on the awareness stage. So you can run the same format. If you find a working format on an ad, so whether that be the body or the hook, right, because this is something that I've tested a lot. I run a ton of hooks on one body that I think is going to convert well. Then I find a winning hook. Now I can take this winning hook and I can throw it on different awareness levels. So there's the 5 stages of awareness. And you can take that and expand it to unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and even most aware. You can take it to all 5 of these stages. Now, granted, the language that you use in this hook, especially if it has a specific copy, will not work for all these stages. But the format of that hook, maybe the visual of that hook, will work for all 5 stages because hooks are not just words. They are also visuals. So there's a lot more that I could go into with creatives, but getting the right attention. Something that has worked for me really well is actually just kind of giving a shout out to the price, especially when you're selling higher ticket products, comparing a price. So let's just say your product is $60 and either a competitor's product or another solution to this to solve the same problem here, right? There's multiple ways to solve this problem. You could do it maybe a more traditional way or the competitor's way or something like that, but instead it's $60. Now you just did an us versus them, and you're immediately comparing them, and now you can list off such and such, such and such, such and such, why it's better. And because it's $60, it immediately is a better deal. This is going to be a rough example here, but let's just say that this is a metal pipe, and this is a plastic pipe right here. It's 60 bucks. Well, the benefits of plastic is that it's cheaper. It solves the exact same problem, but it's cheaper. Naturally, people like cheaper, and they're going to go here. That's a very basic example because there's many benefits that you can throw into this $60. When it's a pipe, it's pretty cut and dry, obviously. But if you're selling, a product that does multiple things, maybe it has a little bit of an edge. Maybe it's smaller, it's more compact, it's portable. It can do, it's like a 3-in-1 instead of like this is only a 1-of-1, right? It can only solve one problem. This is like a 3-in-1, but it does all three things really well. So you can take a lot of these different things that would be comparisons. Even if it's 3, well, now you can do 3 different versions, right? So maybe the other thing is like 20 bucks. The other thing is 200. Let's just say you have 3 problems here on this $60 product that it can solve. Well, now you have 3 different price points that you can attack. Yes, this is 20, but you can use that as an alternate angle and say, okay, yeah, maybe that's 20 bucks, but you also get these 2 other things. So you get 2 plus the 1. So there's a lot of different things you can play off of, and I don't want to dive too deep in here. There's something that took me quite a while to figure out, and that's that products don't sell. Angles are what sells. Also, story is what sells. Feelings is what sell. But in general, angles are greater than products. So, of course, if you have a terrible product that doesn't solve a problem, right? Doesn't do that. That doesn't solve a problem. It doesn't actually work, right? It's just cheap. You're striking out on those. Well, then, yeah, you can pitch it really well, but your business is going to suck. But ultimately, assuming we have some of those things nailed down, angles is what's going to sell. Features and benefits don't sell. What sells is the problem that gets solved. And how do you convey that? Through angles. Angles are the biggest thing that took my dropshipping stores from making 2 sales and being unprofitable to finally breaking through and being profitable. It's unbelievable. It was just a aha moment for me. Angles is insane. So this is going to tap into some of the awareness levels. And even this angle we were talking about right here, this was an angle. This is an us versus them type of angle. It's not the exact same, right? It's not like a direct Apple versus Samsung angle, and here's why the iPhone's better. It's a comparison, right? That is a comparison type of angle. Angles in creative concepts, creative concepts is a whole other thing, because you can do the same type of angle. You could say that, once again, I'm going to use Bleem as an example. I think that's just going to be my default. You could say that strawberry legs would be an angle right here. You can use that as the entire angle, and that's part of your hook. You can say you can remove strawberry legs for $49, right? Instead of getting laser removal or anything like that, you can just do it for $49, $29. You can even say that in your creative because it's 29, and then you get 49 for the upsell. That is an easy angle right there, and you can harp on that, and you can use strawberry legs with a ton of different concepts. So a different concept being that it could be a fully scripted video. It could be a UGC video. It could be a short video with no talking, no voiceover. It could just be, don't want strawberry legs, like just text, and then it shows that the product's being used, and you're good. There's a lot of different ways to go about this stuff with creative concepts. But first, the way I was able to kind of find success here was you test a ton of different angles, because not every angle works. Even when you think it's going to, maybe some will with a different creative concept, and that's also true. Certain creative concepts won't work, and some will for certain angles. But to keep it simple in the beginning stages, what you can use is these same creative concepts. So what I like to do is creative concept 1, creative concept 1, creative concept 1. And now you test angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and you're doing the exact same thing. That way you can find what works. Okay, I have a winning angle. Now I can expound upon this. Granted, your creative concept needs to actually be good. If your creative concept sucks, well, then you can go through, angle 51 and you're just never going to get anywhere. So having a solid creative concept that works, that gets good hook rates, gets good hold rates, you can kind of work up to that as well. Because my initial creatives, at first they had good hook rates. Then they didn't have good hold rates. Then they had better hold rates, but then overall they weren't doing as good. And hook and hold rates aren't everything. They can be an indicator. Some of them, like one of my creatives right now, it has probably one of the worst hook rates of like a winning ad that I've had so far. It's at like 30%. I think the hold rate's at 7%. Like, it's not great at all. But this comes back to the right attention. I have very specific language in that. So because Facebook, yes, they can target a lot of people, but this doesn't necessarily mean that every time they're going to be right. So a lot of those people, they might not be drawn in. But the ones that are drawn in, they're going to be ones that stay and watch the whole thing versus the person that just stops right here. Well, they weren't going to be a great buyer anyway. And once again, I could expand upon that even more, dive into it, but I digress. I'm going to leave it at that for now. And I'm going to talk about the next thing, which is FAQs. This was huge. This is something that I, once again, wish I had known before when I was doing this with, my first 26 stores. And that's just having more objections handled, right? When you only have one FAQ, two FAQ, three FAQ, people might have more questions. It's better to be safe than sorry. Some people will just impulse buy, right? That is 100% a fact. But a lot of people are going to come on your store. They're going to kind of look through. Maybe they don't even look through all the images, look through all the copy, but they still have like just questions, basic questions that you literally could have answered in the beginning. If there's one place you're going to repeat yourself and repeat copy that you have on your store, it is in the FAQ section. So if you're selling a product that has ingredients, you put the ingredients. You put, if you have multiple products, you do that. If you're doing the Brilliant hair eraser, where can I use it, right? Obviously, it's a hair eraser. You can use it wherever you want. But you have to confirm these things. That's an objection. Like, where can I use it? Is it safe to use? And, maybe my private parts or something. How does it work? That is just, I see that missing from a lot of stores. People are dumb. They don't understand. Even you could say it. The amount of emails that I have responded to for the most basic things is insane. People just don't read. They need to be told what to do. So I added that in, and now I've received less emails. And how does it work, right? You could send even a little bit of a guide with it. You could do a video guide. That is a huge add-on. You could do just an instruction manual. Like, that's when you're selling products in China, you don't exactly get that choice. Once you kind of start to scale and you can private label and all that good stuff, you could do that. But the biggest objections you have should be above the fold. Above the fold meaning right by the product section. Down here, you're going to get some more, social proof and testimonials and all kinds of stuff. But up here, these are going to be your most asked questions that you get from people. So where can I use it? Like, how does it work? That is, like I said, that's a huge one. Does friction cause darkness? I guess that must be a very big, question those people, the target audience has. Shipping and delivery, refund policy, always have that in this as well. So, and then I wouldn't put it in the below one, because usually what I like to do, let's see if he has it on this one. You're gonna have questions down here. So where can I use it? This one actually doesn't have that many. I would have a little bit more. Granted, this one doesn't have any ingredients or anything. But I would do even more. If anything's possible, do it. Just put it in an FAQ section. So that can take care of a lot of things. The reason why this is so important is because of objections. I mentioned it a little bit briefly earlier, but handling objections, it's almost like a sales call in a way, right? You're trying to sell something to somebody. If somebody has a question, they have an objection, you have an answer for it. Maybe their objection is price. Well, you can't do too much about it, but you can offer them a discount. You can offer them a free gift. There's ways around some of that stuff. Some people you're just never going to be able to convert. But FAQs can really remove any of that friction if they just have some easy questions that need to be answered. All right, so the fourth point I have is to elongate your sales page. What do I mean by this? I usually would think in the past having a short sales page, keeping it super simple, was the way to go. It can be for certain products. It definitely can be. If you're selling clothing, there's only so much you can do. But if you have any other sort of product that solves any kind of problem, elongate your page. I don't necessarily mean write a book. I don't mean write a best time seller. I want you to show things in a visual way. The reason why I want you to do that is because people don't look at words these days. At least I know I don't, and I think other people don't either. There's this thing called Microsoft Clarity that you can install in your store. It's an absolute cheat code. You get a heat map, you get all kinds of stuff. You get replays of people looking at your store. People don't scroll down and read all the text. They really don't. But if you have all this information presented visually, very short and concise, the people that need to get over the edge, they need those objections handled that we talked about in the FAQs here. If they need that handled, by having this elongated page, you having more convincing stuff, they're going to buy that. That's just going to push people over the edge. And that's how last month I was able to get a 6% conversion rate. So take advantage of the themes that you use, or if you use a page builder, show information in a different way where people can grasp it visually, not just through text. Yes, showing some text is important. Yes, showing that stuff, talking about problems is, but if you can use different elements in themes. I use Shrine, by the way. I know it's super overused, but they have a lot of really cool stuff that if you mix it all together, it can look pretty cool. Like I said, I'm not saying to write an advertorial and make it a newspaper article, but by showing some more information, it can definitely help push some people over the edge. Next thing is a simple cart and checkout page, and all I mean by this is that if there's any sort of things that could be in the way of making it, not a smooth process, eliminate it. Any sort of objection or problem in these two things can cause people to not check out. I will say, for me, interestingly enough, the number one reason, at least I think, that people don't check out, they'll get to cart, but checkout is their cart gets declined, where their payment method just doesn't work. So sometimes there's nothing you can do, maybe just get better people on your store. But I just want to give you a good ratio here for cart to checkout to conversion. So let's just do a little bit of math here. Let's just say this is what's really good numbers for me, so I'm just going to base this off of that. 20% at the cart. Okay. What you would like to have, ideally, is about a 50% drop off from there. So then you go to 10%. Then initiate checkout. Then to CVR, you'd like that to be around 60%. So maybe about 40% drop off. So you'd be looking at about 6% there. These are my ideal metrics, especially for what I'm doing. And I think this is just ideal in general. Now, obviously, if it's 18%, then it would be 9. And then it would be whatever 60% of 9 is. Let's see what that is. So 9 times 0.6, 5.4. So then your ideal would be 5.4. And you'll kind of figure out the general range of what it needs to be at based on your CPMs and your cost per click and all that good stuff. But for sure, I'm talking about these metrics, by the way. The thing that you need to make sure is that the drop off here is no more than like 50%. Okay, and then here it's 60%. 50 at worst. Yes, you want to throw some upsells in the cart and post purchase, right? In that process, you don't want to make the process at all fatiguing for the buyer, where they need to make multiple decisions. Especially if there's like a variant that needs to be selected in one of those upsells. Try to just do very simple products in your upsells. That'll help out a lot. And yeah, just keep it simple. I use a drawer. I guess on mobile it opens the whole thing, right? But it doesn't go to a cart page. I use a drawer thing, and then it shows like, oh, your cart's only reserved for 5 minutes. Actually, that shows at the bottom of the page. Then there's like, X amount to get free shipping. I think you should always do that. I don't think... Some people have different opinions on this. My opinion is that you should always have a goal to get to. For me, it's 75. That's because my AOV, my AOV with the product would be like 64. So that's where I'm at. Maybe yours should be 100. Let's say your normal product price is like 85. Well, you could have a nice little upsell that brings you to 15. Always have a perfect amount of upsells. Right? Let's just say upsell 1, upsell 2, upsell 3. no more, no less. That's what I like to think. But this upsell right here, first upsell, people read this, boom, this is $15 to get you right to that $100. Say, oh, okay, I'll just throw this in the cart. I get free shipping. You obviously make out, and you could charge whatever you want for shipping. I charge $3.99 for mine. But yeah, this is a really nice play. Make sure it's like exactly to the cent the amount, so you make it 100 even. It's pretty nifty. But that said, it still needs to be very simple. Needs to be clean. Needs to be social proof. Also in the checkout, you can't do that until the Shopify like Plus plan. But in the logo, this is actually something it took me a while to figure this out. I was like, how are people putting like the reviews? You can do like a logo on the checkout page, and you could say, let me see if actually Bleem has it. Let's go to their claim offer. And yeah, they have excellent choice. Here's your products, and they give you the free product in there. Continue to save checkout. Make sure that you have, let me go back to the card here. Make sure that you have kind of a breakdown here, and then the payment badges as well. I'm surprised there's no upsells here. I always like to have upsells. That's me. It works. I like it, so I do it. So when you're on a Shopify like advanced plan and some of those higher tier plans, I believe it's the third tier that you need it, which is pretty expensive. Then you can throw some of these things in there. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure you can't customize the checkout. But I was talking about the logo right here. That's where you can kind of put like some faces and say, oh, you know, so many reviews. And then you can also even do this if you're part of the higher tier Shopify plan. So these are the things that actually get sales. And this is just, I mean, it's been a game changer. These 5 things, doing this, it's what got me to be profitable. It's what got me to actually make money dropshipping, and it's what's going to continue to make me money dropshipping as I scale up. Since you've made it this far in the video, I think you would like my Discord. It's called Tropic Ecom. I have themes, I have templates, I have resources, I have scripts, I have all kinds of stuff. Lots of goodies that I have found and kind of taken from different places around the internet that I've found. And there's also one-on-one Loom coaching, and there's also some videos in there, educational videos that I don't have public. Yeah, so check that out. It's $69 a month, nothing too crazy. And with that said, guys, catch you on the next one.